Kenrich, just what did you think of the way Trey stepped in last night and kind of the 48 hours that he had? Really nice game with the blue, and once he got his crack last night, really made the most of that opportunity.
Yeah, I thought he played very well for the time he played. That just goes to show you that he's always staying ready. He's learned to be a professional when his number's called. He's staying ready, and when you have that energy and that mindset, it pays off for sure.
You've found like a pretty consistent role here now, but what do you remember about your first couple years in the NBA? And like, there probably was some nights where you got no burn, and then some nights where you got more. Like, how did you navigate all of that?
Yeah, so I mean, through 6 years, I've pretty much been through everything. I've been the DMPs, nights where I got 5-10 minutes a game, nights where I started, nights where I've come off the bench, nights where I just haven't played, and nights where I was with the G League team. So I've been through a lot, but honestly, it's just about staying ready, being a professional. Playing in the NBA, you have to be a professional, have a professional mindset. Whenever your number's called, just be ready.
Kenrich, obviously, last night was, compared to what we've seen, uncharacteristic for you guys offensively. Just what was it that Houston maybe did to kind of throw you guys off?
I don't think it was necessarily what Houston did. I don't think it was necessarily our offense. It was a number of things. Defensively, we got out rebounded. Probably didn't shoot the ball as well as we could have. So it was a number of things. You can't just pinpoint one thing. It was just an overall kind of just bad game from us.
I think you mentioned the rebounding. Obviously, that's something we talked about all year long. And when you kind of joined, that's kind of changed some, but just on a consistent basis, I guess, what do you feel like since you've been in, it takes to maybe, upkeep that battle and kind of stay on top of that?
Just keep at it. Just stay at it. It's going to be nice where we're kind of undersized. We know that, but we just got to have the kind of hit first mentality. Just be physical. Just keep pushing away every game, man. We know every game we can't win a rebounding battle every single game, but if we tick it up and just get better each and every game, then I feel like throughout the year we'll make some progress.
When you talk about staying ready, does the way Mark does things, because like I might go 3 weeks and not play, and then 2 or 3 games in a row he's going to get quite a bit of run. Does that help you stay ready, just knowing like, hey, any day it could be me?
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely, man. Mark does a great job. Just not Mark, but the whole coaching staff. They do a good job of kind of communicating with us and letting us know ahead of time what's going on. They do a good job of getting some before practice in, some real game-like practice in. That way we're able to get a real good sweat in, especially, if you haven't played in a while. But like I said, man, when you haven't played in a while, it's about being a professional and just always being ready, staying ready, because you never know what night your number could be called.
We saw Shai had 6 steals yesterday, and obviously he brings it defensively every night. But what's it like seeing him go out there and be as active as he is on that end of the floor?
Oh man, it's great to see, man. Just the strides that he's made since I've been here, my 4 years with him. He's really starting to take pride on that side of the ball, and you can see, man, 6 steals. That's amazing for a guy like Shai to take pride on that end. And it does something to our team. When you see the best player on our team playing defense like that, it makes you want to just go out there and fight for your team too. So it's good to see.
And then some guys, as their offensive role expands, as they become more like star players, the defense is where they take some time off. What do you think it is about him that makes him different?
He's very in shape. He's in shape. To have the workload on offense like he does, and then go out and guard one of the best players or the second best player on the team, you gotta be in shape for sure. But also it's a pride thing as well. Like I said, man, Shai's very powerful, and he takes pride on that end, and he thinks that he can be like a first team all defense player, and I believe that too. So he's just giving us an extra spark as a team.
Mark was making the point though that a lot of those steals are from him being just in position in the shell. It's not like he's just ripping the ball from the ball all the time. he gave credit actually to like you and Kaysen and Lou for doing the work on the ball to kind of allow him to be that free safety. How do you see that dynamic kind of shake out?
Yeah, man. I've also seen him get steals on the ball too as well. Just kind of clean pickpocket. But that's what our team defense is built on. Just kind of being in the right spot, and just making plays on defense. So one night it may be Shea getting a lot of steals. It might be Dub the next night getting a lot of steals. So that's what's kind of our team is kind of built on, team defense.
Kenrich, you call Shea prideful, but beyond defense, what does that usually look like?
What you mean?
Like on a daily basis, Shea being prideful, what does that look like from your point of view?
I just take pride in everything that he does, whether that's being a team leader, lifting weights. He's very he takes everything serious. Defensively, offensively, he feels like he can score on anybody, and that's Shea. I mean, that's just Shea. I can't really break it down anymore. He thinks he really can do everything on the court, and he can.
I wanted to ask you, we talked to Aaron yesterday. He connected on a lot of those backdoor cuts, and we've seen him do that a lot. But he was like, it's not just me. Kenrich is doing that. Kaysen's doing that. Dub's doing that. And it's all just eye contact. Yeah. With the chemistry that you guys are building, how second nature are those sort of plays for you guys now?
Oh, yeah. It's become a second nature, man. It's something that we work on in practice, for sure. We work on cutting. We work on kind of passing the ball off the cuts, and we have plays, and Coach sets us up in good position to get those back cuts and to make plays happen. And that's just the easy part of the game that we all can kind of do. Just take a back cut. We might not get the cut and score the ball, but it might open up for another teammate to get an open shot. So that's something our team is also built on.
Wanted to ask you about Aaron last night. We've asked you about him a bunch of times, but he was just so efficient last night, and just like in talking with guys like Collison over the years, it's like one thing to be able to be at the pace of the game and come in short stints and like be with it, but a whole nother thing to be efficient on short shots. What is it about Aaron that has allowed him to be efficient offensively in the minutes that he's gotten lately?
A lot of it's just the selection of shots he gets. And he works for his shots. He rolls, he cuts, he runs. So if you unpack his shots last night, it's like quick decision off the catch, cut on an ATO, transition layup. I forget some of the other ones, but that's kind of like what he does. He's a system killer. And then it is valuable to be able to play a guy 10 minutes and have them be effective in those 10 minutes. It allows you to, first of all, it incentivizes you to play in 10 minutes. Even if it's a short run, sometimes I'll even tell them that, I'll say, hey, this may not be for long, but stay in character. But he's done a great job. And, I think the changing roles have probably been challenging for him, but they've also, I think, built him into a very, very consistent performer despite, anything else that's going on around him. And it's incredibly valuable for us to have guys like him. We have a lot of guys like him, but he's certainly one of them.
And then just with Golden State coming to town, I talked to Isaiah after the second meeting out there, and he'd gotten some possessions and minutes guarding Steph, and there's a little bit of like a takes one to know one in terms of guys that are hunting shots, moving off the ball. Do you like being able to mix Isaiah in as a guy to defend Steph over the course of a night, just given Isaiah's like slipperiness and ability to run around screens and whatnot?
There's better matchups on Curry than Isaiah, but when he gets caught on him, or if we have a lineup out there where he's got to do it, that's one of the things that's impressive about Isaiah. We'd rather have Lou or Kaysen on him, right. But Isaiah can handle that. He plays up to the limits of his ability. And that's a compliment to how he competes, how he works, and as I've said, every time you guys bring up the shooting, it's a compliment to how complete of a player he is.
Mark, there's there's quiet things defenses do to you that you can see and your players can see that other people can't, and there's real loud things. Yeah. The way teams are guarding Josh right now is a real loud thing that everybody can see.
Yeah.
What do you see in it, and what do you do with it when teams are sagging that far off one of your guys?
Well, I was talking to him about it this morning, and he's like, it's the first time I've gotten played like that, which I think is an important point. It's like he's been here for 2 years, and I look at it as it's a compliment to our offense that we're seeing that now. And in the last 4 games, Minnesota, I mentioned it after the game, but we score 60 points on the best half-court defense in the league. They zone us in the second half. Could have handled it better. Dallas, we're up by 20. They start double-teaming all over the place. Could have handled it better. Last night, cross-match onto Josh, switch with Chet. Could have handled it better. But those are to me, that's like the natural course that you have to go through. You have to go through those struggles to evolve. And I think it's particularly interesting that we're playing Golden State tomorrow, because they were a team that they had a lot of success playing a very distinct style. The league is not just going to sit back and let you do what you want to do. Everybody adjusts. So Golden State gets switched. Golden State gets blitz. Golden State gets switched off ball. They stay with their own off ball. And they've developed all these tricks against all these different things where it's like no matter what you throw at them now, it's familiar. But the point of that is they haven't just like hatched into that. Like this wasn't where they started. They started with success a certain way. Then they probably struggled their butts off for a long time with the adaptations they were seeing. It forced them to evolve. They had to clear those hurdles, and then they got better. And then they got to a point where they were like almost unbreakable, and that's why they were so good. Because not only were they good with plan A, but when you went to plan B and C against them, they still had solutions. We need to develop the solutions. But I look at the fact that 3 out of our last 4 opponents have gone to something that's totally non-conventional for them as a compliment to, our offense, our base offense, and just a challenge for us now that we have to evolve. But, I don't want the emotion of the moment to get in the way of the perspective that this is a process that we're going through right now. It's the first time that we've had a good enough offense, probably collectively, that we're seeing the kitchen sink. And now that we're seeing the kitchen sink, we have to calibrate, we have to improve.
Mark, to those points, obviously, I think a lot of the early success has, in part been because of the spacing, because of everything, how clean it's been, how teams have maybe allowed you to play. And now I know Josh's game isn't finite, but with his efficiency this season, as we've talked about, it feels like teams are going to continue to defend him that way. Just What are the immediate adjustments for a guy that, there might not, the efficiency is what it is. What are the immediate adjustments to kind of shape that or move around that?
Well, the first one is let him see it for the first time. Let him see it. Let him go through it for a sec and just like calibrate it. He hasn't been played like that before. He's been gapped before. He's been plugged off of before, but never like with the center. So like let him go through it a little bit. Let him see what solutions he finds. We need to find solutions with it. It's not going to be the only tactic we see for the rest of time. They're going to double Shea, they're going to zone, they're going to late switch with Chet on pops, and it's going to depend on their team and what their beliefs are. It's not going to be like this finite scheme against us. If it is, we'll get better at it quicker. The hardest part about this process is we're going to see zone one night, and then you address the zone, and then the next night you're getting double teamed. And then you address the double team, and the next night you're getting cross-matched. You address the cross-match, who knows what they do tomorrow. So, but he's got to see it, and we've got to see it, and we've got to learn how to play inside it. The immediate adjustment, the only thing I said to him today that I think is important is that he plays on the catch. I think the quicker you play against that stuff, the harder it is for teams to calibrate. But if you're fast on the catch, if you either shoot it or move it quickly, teams can't size it up in the middle of the possession. And I thought there were a couple last night where he seemed indecisive. And the biggest, we're fine with him shooting open threes. Those are good shots. If he shoots it, shoot it. If not, move it quickly so that we can maintain an advantage.
Mark, you guys are 20 games into the season now, officially 25% of the way through. And I know there's still a lot of season left to be played, but for coaches, as a coaching staff, how much do you kind of look back maybe at a holistic kind of body of work that you guys have so far over the course of the season?
We do that all year. We do it every 10 games. I mean, we do it daily, but we do it every 10 games for sure. We have 10-game marker meetings where we look at the last block of 10 games, and the last 10 games versus the first 10 games, we improved in a lot of areas. They're marginal, but our rebounding's improved slightly on both ends of the floor. Our process rebounding's really improved. We're crashing more on offense. We're blocking out more on defense. Those are data-driven facts. We were faster this stretch on offense. We turned the ball over significantly less these last 10 games on offense. Defensively, we've prevented rim shots way more in the last 10 games than we did in the first. We've shot contested the heck out of people in all 20. So a lot of positive trends for us right now. There's certainly other things that we've identified that we need to improve over the next 10 games, but that's, we want to be a team that grows through the 82 games, and, we use every 10-game marker to kind of zoom out and do that.
Mark, Chet's three-point shooting was at a place where it had to come down some, just because he's like a human person. But is there anything over these last 3 games or so, anything about the shots he's getting, anything you're seeing different about his three-point shots?
No, I think he's had some decent ones. I think some of it's just he's going to go through a lot of peaks and valleys in his career shooting the ball, because that's just the nature of shooting the ball. And this is probably the first peak and the first valley that he's gone through. So it's just a matter of him learning to shoot through it. I think as time goes on and you gain more experience and wisdom, you learn to trust your shot diet and just double down on that consistently, and it smooths your peaks and valleys to a degree. I think the guys that are great shooters that are also highly experienced, that's what they do. They shoot the shots that are their shots, and if they go 1 for 8, they go for 1 for 8. Sometimes they go 6 for 6, and they learn to double down on that. But it's like the thing I just said about Golden State. It's something that you have to grow through. And we've had some early success. We've won a couple games, but it's important to maintain the perspective that we're still growing, and we have to still grow. We're not going to let the clay harden right now.
Mark, to that point, obviously Chet has talked a lot about being confident in himself. He's played a lot of basketball. He's been good at basketball for a while. But in that point, finding his shot diet, how have you seen him navigate what are good shots at this level and what are good shots for him specifically at this level?
He's done a pretty good job of it. I mean, if you look at his shot profile, there's a reason he's been as efficient as he is. He's getting really good shots. He's also turned his turnovers down in the last 10 games. Our turnovers as a team have gone down. A lot of it's because of him. So, I mean, there's a lot of good things going on with him. I think now it's about him learning how to get more of those good shots. He's getting good shots, but how do you really amplify that when teams are going to start to adjust, and close out hotter to you and switch you more, or whatever the adjustments are for teams. But he'll learn that, and he has played a lot of basketball, but he'll have played a lot more basketball a year from now, so he's going to continue to grow and get better.
Mark, yesterday it felt like Josh was kind of screening more, and you've talked a lot about being positionless and versatile. Is that something that you think that you guys can lean into more whenever he is defended by a 5, is to use him as a screener?
Yeah, I mean, that's another option. It's ball finds him because obviously they're plugged off him. Shoot it, move it, or go and play dribble hand. I thought we could have done that a couple times with Isaiah. If they're going to be all the way back off of him, catch it, go flip it to Isaiah. Now, if there's a screen on the guy and the 5-man's off of Josh, Isaiah's got a clean shot. But, again, those are solutions that we haven't had to navigate yet. This is the first time in my 4 years that we're seeing this much variance in terms of how we're getting guarded. And again, we take it as a compliment. It's not easy, but the NBA is not easy, especially if you start to make a little bit of noise, and offensively we have.
And I was talking to Cam a little bit about his finding his voice as a coach. And he mentioned, of course, being around you and Brad Stevens, and compared you guys temperamentally, and then also praised you for your ability to connect with players. Well, what do you think kind of allows you to relate to players so well, or experiences in your life that you kind of can draw from with players and kind of find your temperament throughout your time?
Yeah, I mean, I've never played, so a lot of people can connect. The people that have played can connect through the common experiences of that. I didn't play, but I try to really just be myself, and I encourage them to be themselves, and I think that's how you can connect with people generally, not just coach-player, but any relationship.
Coming in with Case and Sam, even said he's a really tough kid. I know everybody's kind of dealing with bumps and bruises, but what did you make of the way that he kind of shook off whatever he had going last night and played really well in the second half, and just seemed to not let whatever physical stuff was bothering him?
Yeah, he's a dog. He's a dog. So, he had just a little bit of pain that was sharp, and then got over it very quickly, got back in there. But again, it's one of the experiences that you learn how to navigate in the NBA. It's you talk about invisible stuff, Brett. One of the invisible things people don't see is just how much these guys' bodies are taking a toll, and not only, the bumps and bruises on the court, but it's like you land at 1 a.m. last night and you're back in the gym for practice the next day. Like, going through that for the first time, is the real deal. He just played 30 games at Kentucky. It's a different deal. We'll be at 30 games here very soon. We won't even be halfway through the season. So, but he's done a great job, obviously.
And Trey got some minutes last night, and it felt like he was playing a lot better defense than he had previously shown, kind of fighting through screens and all. How would you kind of assess his defense in that kind of time frame?
Great, but I thought he's built that. Like his high intensity workouts have been great. His practices have been really good. His blue minutes the other day, I thought he really competed there. I was pretty set on playing him in this Houston game, but watching him with the blue the other day only confirmed that for me. And I like rewarding guys with opportunities when the right time presents itself, which I thought last night was for him, and when they deserve it and when they earn it. I just think it's good for the morale of the team when hard work and perseverance is acknowledged, and I think part of my job is to acknowledge that by giving guys opportunities.
Mark, you mentioned being pretty set on playing him yesterday, even before he kind of spazzed in the blue game. Just what goes into knowing you're going to play a guy like him versus maybe it's Meech's day or maybe it's a day for Bertans minutes. Just what goes into that?
Some of it's matchup, where I think they can give us an advantage. Some of it's just like looking at their workload and saying, hey, like we should dust this guy off a little bit here and let him get some game minutes, let him touch the outcome of the game, let him, feel a part of it. Obviously with 18 guys on the roster that are all healthy right now, we have all healthy players. So you have to be a little more intentional about that. But I think a lot of it comes down to viewing the season as an 82 game whole, and not going into every game white knuckling and trying to just do the exact same thing every single night, staying open, forcing ourselves to be uncomfortable in terms of putting guys out there. Because, if you look at our January schedule, it's, I think, 17 games. There's not a lot of practice time. If you don't think we're going to need a lot of guys in that month of time, you're crazy. It's going to be either injuries or it's just going to be fatigue. And they need to be primed up for that. You can't, put a bunch of guys on the shelf and then when you need them, expect them. We got to. Part of my job is helping them be ready. And I think giving them the minutes sometimes and giving them the opportunity sometimes, it puts some wind back in their sails. And not only in Trey's sail, but somebody else that's sitting over there that's not playing is seeing him get that opportunity, and they're saying to themselves, okay, this might come around to me here pretty soon. I better keep myself sharp.
Tomorrow's a doubleheader day. Is there any plan you can share about if you plan to float anyone down there in the afternoon?
Lindy and Sar, I think. But I'm always afraid to tell you guys that because I told you that Lindy was going to travel with us, and he was a little under the weather. So he didn't travel. So I'm sorry I lied about that. But the intention is Oos is down there, Keontae's there. Those guys are probably going to float there tomorrow. But don't quote me. I know that's your job to quote me.